Hey everyone, welcome back to M&MM IELTS. This is Manmohit. Now in today's video, I am going to share with you all the topic from your IELTS writing module, the task 1 of the academic exam. If you are planning to give the IELTS general exam, this video may not be for you because this is purely going to be for academic, because task 1 is going to be different for the academic and the general exam. So this task 1 academic in the IELTS writing, it's purely about a report writing. There would be different types of questions that can come, but we have to write at least 150 words for a report. So without wasting any further ado, let's dive right into the video and understand how to tackle this particular topic and make sure that we get a good band score for this particular one. So as it says, the IELTS writing task 1 in the academic exam, this one is purely about a report, as in we have to write or type depending on if you're giving a paper-based exam or a computer-based exam. We have to type or write a report, and there can be 6 different question types. Now 6 different types simply means the topics, the question types, such as it could be a line graph, for example, something like this. There may be some sort of lines. It could be a pie chart, so very normal kind of scenarios that we are all aware of. It could be a bar, like bar graph, bar chart, something like that. It could be some sort of a process. They may be explaining something happened, then another step something happened. So a process could be there. A map could be there of something, and a table or number of tables could be there as well. But it doesn't matter what sort of type that we get. Our job is to just analyze that and then type or write a report based on that particular question type. Now, there would be a lot of information that would be given to you, like different countries, for example, Australia, Canada, US, UK, all that kind of stuff. And then there may be another one. So a lot of information would be there, which can be overwhelming at the very beginning if we haven't practiced enough. But if you have practiced enough in the right manner and right way, then you guys would know straight away as to what sort of information you need to grab out of the given whatever number of whatever type or whatever amount of information is given to you. Your job is to keep this in mind, as it will help you a lot, that your job is to describe the main trends. Not every piece of information needs to be there, and that's a common sense, because the word limit that they have given us is at least 150 words. Now, yes, it is at least 150 words. That means minimum you type is 150. Maximum they haven't mentioned, but then you don't want to type or write 300 words. That's wrong in two ways. If you write these many words, 250, 300 words, they will deduct marks for that. Secondly, if you are writing or typing 300, 250 words, something like that, how much time are you utilizing in the exam? You don't have, or you can't spare more than 20 minutes. Yes, you get 60 minutes for the complete writing module. But you have to understand that there's another essay which is at least 250 words that you need to write after that. So we can't spare more than 20 minutes. Yes, 21, 22 minutes should be all good, but prefer completing this one in maximum of 20 minutes, just so that you can give more time towards the upcoming topic, which is the writing essay. So our job is to just describe the main trends, something which is highest, something which is lowest, something which you can see that, okay, that's important information. Not everything and anything is important information. Always and always use some data and numbers. That's very important. Never just start writing down the stuff like this is highest, this is lowest. Now you have to support that by numbers. UK is highest. For example, UK has 60% something, which is the highest, whereas Australia has 20% of something, which is the lowest. So you always mention the data to support your arguments, to support your opinions, to support the information that you have written down, and always use the numbers if they have given you. Very important. Now, how many paragraphs should you be making in this task 1? Now look, there's no set number of paragraphs that they have recommended, but what I suggest is there has to be an introduction for sure. There has to be an overview paragraph where you just kind of take the main trends and just describe them. And would be a discussion or a detailed kind of paragraph as well. So basically 3 paragraphs should be all good. Yes, you can have 4 paragraphs, it won't really deduct any marks, but what you should be avoiding is having just 1 paragraph. That's wrong, that's not academic. If you just type down 1 paragraph, just understand one thing, you can never get a full score. Full score as in a full band score. You can never get that. 1 paragraph is not academic. You have to have, now conclusion, as you can see, I haven't written the word conclusion. You may type that, you may not type that, that's fine, but conclusion is not something which is mandatory or which is something which is required. What's definitely required is introduction, and then these 2 paragraphs are recommended to make a perfect answer for your task 1 IELTS writing academic. Few things now to understand, or a few things you can say that I can suggest you, is to always and always use some linking words, or in simple terms, using connectors to connect to sentences. Something like, if I finish a sentence, I should not just start the next sentence just different information. I should use these words: although, though, nonetheless, nevertheless, therefore, overall. And if you're just writing down the final paragraph, then you can say to summarize. All these kind of words which link one sentence with another. It, now again, that's not instructions from IELTS. Like they don't need these words as a mandatory requirement. If you have these words, it just shows that how well you read the information that was given to you, and how well were you able to connect to sentences that the information that was given to you. Now afterwards, because you would be picking up the main trends, if you just go back to my same sentence where I said that you have to describe the main trends. Now when you describe the main sentence, let's say something was 80% and then there was something which was 20%. So something increased to 80% from 20%. So that was a big jump. There may be a scenario when something was 20%, but then that increased to 25%. There may be a scenario the other way around, something was 25% and that reduced to 20%. I hope it's making sense now, that there could be a drastic difference, a major difference, there could be a slight difference, there could be a moderate difference as well. So depending on what sort of difference or what sort of trend are you looking at, your choice of words is also going to change alongside. For example, if there is just a slight change in something changed from 20% to 30%, or something changed from 50% to 60%, something like that, slight change, prefer using these words moderately. This thing was moderately. Moderately means just slight change, a moderate change in the climate, something like this. And again, you can pick one word from here as well, which is slightly, something like this. Again, there could be many words, but then these could be the most common ones. If there is a major change, let's say something increased from 20% to 100% or 80%, a big change, then we can say the words such as considerable amount of change, steep, there was a steep increase in the production of chocolate, there was a significant increase. That will just enhance your marks in the vocabulary portion. Then another word is dramatic. Let's say something increased from 20% to 100% or 20% to 80%. There was a dramatic increase in the production of cotton. All these kind of words. So you have to understand, and now this will depend upon what sort of information is given to you. So you guys will need to understand as to what type of words would you be using over there. It will purely depend upon what type of question you would be getting in the real exam. So like any other topic in the IELTS writing module, whether it's academic exam or whether it's the general exam, there's always 4 criterias where they are going to give you marks. One is the task response, which is purely your content, how well you described the content. They have your coherence and cohesion, which simply refers to that the words, the choice of words that you're utilizing, that does not draw any sort of attention, as in the words were very fluently used in between two sentences. That means you did not just memorize the words and just put wherever you wanted. The words, for example, if you're putting the word moderately, or if you're putting the word significant or steep increase, all these words should make sense wherever you're putting. So that's coherence and cohesion. Third is vocabulary, which is basically in their terms lexical resource. And then we have is grammar, if your sentences were grammatically correct or not. So in like any other writing topic, these 4 things would definitely be tested, and it's no different for this task 1 in the academic exam. So you have to understand how the scoring works for this one. Now what I'll do is I'll just bring up a sample answer in front of you alongside a question, so that we can go over that as to how do we type down or how do we write down an answer for any given sample question in the exam. So for example, that's an exam question, so would be discussing this one. This is how you would be getting in the real exam as well. You would be getting a diagram. Like I said, it could be any of the 6 question types, and then you would be given a question as in the introduction and how many words you should type and all, but it's always going to be at least 150 words. So we all know that. Now, one tip, or I would say the best way, and that's available on the IELTS official website as well, that they don't want you to create the introduction by yourself. They just want you to take the introduction and paraphrase it in your own words. Whatever introduction is given to you, for example here, the line graph shows theft per 1,000 vehicles in 4 countries between 1990 and 1999. That's the introduction. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and I am going to rewrite the same sentence in my own words without changing any information from there. As you can see, as per the diagram as well, as per the line graph as well, they have given us these 4 countries: Great Britain, Sweden, France, and Canada. Years 1990 all the way up to 1999, and theft per 1,000 vehicles, like how many cars were stolen per 1,000 vehicles. So as you can see, I can already see the trend over here. This particular line where I can see the rectangles, it basically, as you can see over here, started normal. It didn't really increase much, but just all of a sudden it just increased. That means Sweden. That's a main trend. If we then talk about the other ones, I cannot see major trend, but I can just see one line, which is this Great Britain. It's always been highest. So I can already see another trend. So one trend is Sweden, another trend is Great Britain. France and Canada, they more or less have been same. So I would say moderately, or you can say slightly, all these kind of words. So they did not really, yes, they did reduce a bit and then increase and then reduce. Same thing with that. So not really a major change, but yes, that's third trend. So these 3 trends would be the ones that I would be discussing in my summary. So first of all, let's look at the introduction. This is how I would be typing my introduction. The line graph, so as you can see, if you compare this sentence with this, it's more or less the same thing. The line graph shows theft per 1,000 vehicles. The line graph illustrates, denotes, depicts, could be anything. The line graph illustrates the number of cars stolen for every 1,000 vehicles in 4 countries from 1990 to 1999. So I've pretty much written down the same thing, just paraphrase it a bit, used some fancy words, or used some words that I felt like should be the most appropriate ones. And then I put another sentence. Overall, it can be seen that car thefts were higher in Great Britain than in the other 3 countries throughout the whole time. Okay, so that's just a bit of spelling mistake over here, but countries, that should be the correct spelling. And this is what I would be doing in the real exam as well. Once I've written down or typed down my summary, I will definitely make sure that I would be proofreading my answer. if I find any spelling mistakes, I would be correcting it alongside. That's why when you are given 20 minutes, you have to make sure you finish your answer in 15-16 minutes, just so that you can utilize the remaining couple of minutes just to proofread to avoid any silly spelling mistakes. Once my introduction is done, afterwards I'll go to the overview. And like I said, we are just going to follow the trends. So that's my second paragraph. I'll say to begin with, or to begin, car thefts in Sweden, France, and Canada. So Sweden, France, and Canada, these three countries. So these three over here followed a fairly similar pattern over the first 5 years. As you can see, first 5 years, they have been pretty much just did not really increase much. And that's exactly what I've written over here. All remaining at between 5 and 10 per thousand. So that's what it has been, between 5 and 10 per thousand. The general trend, though, for France and Canada was a decline in the number of vehicles stolen over the period. So basically in France and Canada was a decline. So France is my, so I'm just going to clear this off, just it's a bit easier for you guys to see. So France, which is my squares, and Canada, which is my circles. And what I have said is France and Canada was a decline in the number of vehicles stolen over the period, with both at around 6 in the 1999. So as you can see, they both reduced and they just stayed at around 6. Again, you can put the number 7 as well, that's fine. They're not gonna just be very picky as long as you're very close. So it could be 6, it could be 7, but I just picked 6 just because I wanted. But then again, you can even pick 7, it's not gonna make a major difference. Sweden, so in contrast now, because I'm saying something different, so I'll use an opposite connector kind of word. So in contrast, Sweden experienced an upward trend. As you can see, Sweden, it did not stay as per normal, it increased. So what I have done over here is Sweden experienced an upward trend, starting the period at approximately 8 and finishing at just under 15. So it started at 8, which is over here, but then finished just over here, which is just under 15. So in the exam, when I'm using a pencil, that's what I can also try to do with my pencil. I'll just try to make these lines just to understand, okay, this is where the number is. It'll just make my job a lot easier to see what's the exact number that is given to me. So I hope this second paragraph made sense to you guys as well. And the final paragraph what I've written is, interestingly, because something different is going to happen, so I just said the word interestingly, car thefts in Great Britain, so I'm talking about this single line now, it started at about 18, as you can see over here. So I've written started at 18 per thousand, which was significantly more than the other countries. It then fluctuated a bit. So I'm just basically describing this line. So it increased and decreased. So it fluctuated, reaching a peak of 20 thefts in 1996. So it fluctuated. Fluctuated means increase, decrease, increase, decrease. So that means fluctuation. So what I'm saying is it reached about 20 in 1996, and ending the period moderately lower than where it began. So as you can see, it began at here, but it ended over here, which is slightly lower. Because it's not a big difference over here, so I've used the word moderately. So what I've said is, and ending the period moderately lower than where it began at approximately 17. So it started at 18 per thousand, but it ended at approximately 17. So as you can see, I've covered all the main trends. I did not even leave a single country behind. I talked about Great Britain, I talked about Sweden, I talked about France, and I also talked about Canada. Covered everything and made sure I did not make any information or create any information from myself. I just used whatever was given to me. Again, if you would have noticed until now, there's many ways to type down or write down this summary. I used the trends in a different way. You could have utilized the trends in a different way. You may not have even mentioned this fluctuation. You may have just said it started at 18 per thousand, ended at 17 per thousand, so not really a major difference. There were 2 years when it increased significantly, and those were not significantly, 2 years when it increased moderately, and that was around 1992 and around 1996. So you could have even said that it wouldn't have been wrong, because you again did not create any information from yourself. You just used whatever was given to you. So many ways to write or type a report, but as long as you stick to the plan, as long as you stick to the basics, use correct type of words, and make sure that you include all the main trends, you should be all good in order to get a full score, or in order to get a great band score in this particular topic. So this is how we type a perfect, and this is how we tackle this particular IELTS task 1 for the academic exam in the writing module. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any sort of questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and me and Mohit will answer all of you as quickly as possible. With that, I'll take your leave. If you have any sort of questions, feel free to ask. All the best if you have got your exams coming very, very soon. Stay safe wherever you are, and I'll see you all in the next video.